Good morning, YouTube. Well, it's good morning here. It's maybe evening where you are. Who knows? Anyway, so meal one. Meal one is 4 eggs, 100 grams of blueberries, and 150 grams of bread. Obviously, we all know that I love bread. Bread is literally a staple in my diet, whether that be off season or prep. I always make sure that I do get a good quality bread. I don't just get like a Warburton's little run-of-the-mill little bit of a shitty bread, could we call it. I always get like a nice little bakery, sourdough, organic-y style bread, just because you know that it's a little bit fresher and probably do made with a little bit more care. Anyway, today what we're going to do is we're going to cover the female off-season, what to expect, thoughts, feelings, emotions, how you're going to look, how you're going to perform, what foods are going to be like if you do it like what I do. So I'm just going to share the way in which I do it, the way in which I feel, and hopefully it's going to help other people potentially go down that route of treating it this way so that they can make the most out of their progress, because still lots of people don't really maximise their off seasons, and it's really sad because lots of people have so much potential, and myself and definitely Kuba would love to see everybody maximise their potential. If we could see just everyone be amazing and be the best that they can possibly be, like imagine how good bodybuilding would be. So if you can take anything from what I do and how I act or the way in which I approach things, then hopefully you can learn some stuff and apply it to your process and hopefully get better, improve and build the muscle mass that your body's able to do so.
So simple, but I'm telling you, this is the most underrated combo of all time. Vanilla Ice Pro and vanilla cream of rice. Trust me, I think we're so spoiled with different flavours. I think we can often forget the greatest of all time. That's definitely vanilla.
So obviously just had breakfast, which was obviously quite big. Kuba and most other bodybuilders that potentially don't move around as much obviously like to keep a little bit of activity in to make sure that they can digest their foods really well. For me, after my breakfast, that's my kind of housework time, could you say, or meal prep time, so I'm actually being nice and active. You do find that lots of people think that they're getting lots of steps every single day through obviously doing a little bit of kitchen work or doing a little bit of kind of whatever it is that they do, but you've got to remember that, especially if you use the Oura Ring or even sometimes an Apple Watch, if you are doing movements with your hands, you will find that it will collect steps, so you might not actually be doing the amount of steps that you are doing. So when I'm in the kitchen, I always try to make sure that I'm not just kind of grabbing and whatnot with my hands, that I am moving around a little bit, because it does help digestion. After this, I'll make sure I go and sit down and do some work, because obviously actually sitting down is just as important as obviously standing up and moving, especially when it comes to digestion, and that's one of the biggest, most important parts of off season and allowing for foods to be pushed up, to make sure that you do keep your digestion in good nick. And one of the biggest parts of that is some active movement. So obviously I've just done that with meal prepping and obviously bulk cooking the foods that we have. I do cook a lot of foods daily because we are eating quite a lot at the moment. Both of us, our protein amounts have gone up, so we do have to cook meat every single day. Always put on rice fresh, especially because it's dry rice. You do find if you leave it in the rice cooker for like a few days, it does definitely go off. So if you do rice raw weight, make sure that you do cook that every single day. And now I'm just going to do mine and Kuba's intra workouts as well. Obviously our meals, we'll get them as we go, but that's pretty much it. Another way to make sure that you boost your digestion is make sure that you're using really good products. I mean, I know that it's a little bit of a cost when it comes to nutrition, and I'm not saying that you need to go to, I don't know, a gold standard chicken supplier and get gold standard chicken, whatever that may be, but just make sure that you're getting like whole foods, whole chicken, not cooked chicken, making sure that you're getting fresh products rather than kind of stuff that's got lots of preservatives in, etc. And it will really keep your tummy in a much better spot. I know that I used to do off seasons where I'd do like an off-pan meal every evening, and I'd use a lot of kind of sugary products like squares bars and bits and bobs, like little bits here and there, fine, but not all the time. Like I was having them for like every single meal to try and get my calories in, because my digestion and my appetite wasn't that good. But if you actually use whole good products, if you do sit down to let things kind of sit when you're eating, if you do kind of move around when it comes to your daily activity with some steps, you will find that your digestion will be fine, and you will find that you will also get really full and probably feel a little bit like you do want to eat it. But if you want to be a good bodybuilder, you've got to eat it anyway, so you've got to get over yourself. I'm going to make my intro. Intro workouts, obviously we use all the products from Trained by JP, who we use as the performance fuel within his, because he's obviously having a lot more calories now, especially being into the hotter season, and that gives you a little bit more calories per kind of gram compared to what the Sustain does. My savings of kind of carbohydrates is still, not that it's not high, but it's not as high as what Cooper's is. I don't need the additional calories in my intra workout drink because I still have enough from my normal daily foods. So I have 50 grams of the Sustain in my intra workout, alongside 200 millilitres of coconut water, and then I also have 25 grams of EAAs coming from the MPS Max from Trained by JP. It's definitely my favourite product. I mean, I've used the EAAs before, but just because it is a little bit better quality, the MPS Max, compared to obviously the EAA, that's why we tend to use that. But this is pretty much it. I tried to get similar-ish flavours so that when they start getting mixed together, they don't taste like bummo. So obviously with this one, we've both got the orange and mango for performance fuel and sustain, because this is definitely my most favourite out of the two that they do for sustain now, and then this is probably my favourite MPS Max that they do at the moment. They used to do the watermelon. Jordan and Corinne, if you're watching this, bring back the watermelon because it was absolutely delicious, but the peach iced tea is definitely very nice as well. Obviously just finished cooking, and now it's time for work block number 2, it would be. I don't actually have check-ins on a Friday or Saturday. I think it's nice to be able to have a couple of days where you don't have check-ins. Obviously it means that you can sort out things like programming, do some kind of educational, informative content for your clients. Obviously at the moment there's not really a day off from real check-ins because it's obviously a lot of clients are competing, so most clients that are competing are obviously checking in daily at the moment. If they've just finished their competitive season, they'll still be checking in daily for a little bit of time until we get to a point where we think, right, okay, this person's actually in a good spot mentally, with food, relationship, etc., managing off-plan meals really well, feeling really great with everything, and then we can obviously start to taper it back down. Much like when you go into a prep and you increase check-ins over time, it kind of goes to 2 days per week, 3 days per week, and then every day. Very much after comp prep, I like to do that the same. So every day for a little bit of time, then we'll move on to kind of 3 days per week, and then obviously coming back to that kind of once per week big check-in. And it works really well with clients. They like to feel nice and supported, but they know that they can pop me a message anytime anyway. It doesn't really matter what day it is, I'll always get back to them because their journey means a lot to them, and it's important for the coach to feel just the same about that as well. But I do think that having those little work blocks that I do with kind of first one in the morning before breakfast, after kind of breakfast and meal prepping a little bit, then having a break for like meal 2 and then going again, because I think it keeps your brain active. I think if you literally just sat at your computer or sat at your phone all day, yeah, you probably could work all day, but is it being productive, or is it literally just getting a little bit monotone and ploddy? Whereas it needs to be fresh, it needs to be good responses, and it needs to be supportive for the client as well, so that they can feel really great. But I've got a few clients competing this weekend. Got Tuva, who's just competed in Sweden. She doesn't do the NPC because it's not huge there at the moment, so she still does the IFBB. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that, but she does, because it is her country and it's her choice. I'm her coach, and she looked absolutely fantastic. She hasn't really ever placed very well in a competition. This year at her kind of, I guess what we'd call a regional show, she came second, which was amazing, and then she's literally just done what we would call a pro qualifier and come fourth out of quite a few girls, so she looks fantastic. I've also got another girl over in America who has taken the jump from doing the natty scene to the NPC, where she did really well as a natural, and today will be her first show as an NPC amateur figure competitor. She looks fantastic, really proud of her. She's put a lot of effort in. And then I've got one of my long-standing clients competing this weekend who wants to do a few different federations this year within her same normal class, which will be in wellness. It'll be her last season competing because obviously she wants to start having and thinking about having children and things, so it's all just very exciting for her. She looks the best that she ever has, and I'm sure that she's going to get some fabulous results this year as well. And onto myself, so I am I'm like 52 weeks this week into an off season. Obviously I have not been pushing foods up all that time. If you remember a little bit of time ago, I did my pre-prep, so for about 9-10 weeks I did a little bit of a reset with body composition where I went down in weight. It was like 9 kilos in total, but it was a very needed 9 kilograms because the top weight that I was at peak off season was not very pretty. But when you are in a longer off season, you can afford for that as long as it's not through eating like a dick. It's like I was a little bit sloppier, could you say, but everything that I was having was good whole foods, making sure that I was really adherent to my plan. Yes, having an off-plan meal, but I don't feel the need to have shit food anymore. Things like going out for, like a lot of Chinese, lots of Indian. There's so many hidden calories in there from the way in which they cook it that just are going to make you put on a lot of weight. And the idea behind that off plan for me is to enjoy social time and downtime with Cuba, but not make my body weight shoot up. I mean, it's probably going to go up a little bit because it's a bit different to what I'd normally have at home, but it shouldn't be going up any more than kind of half a kilo in my opinion, and you'll probably see that drop back down within the next kind of couple of days anyway. So obviously there's the big debate of whether you should be going all out and an off plan and things like that, but even if you look back to people who did bodybuilding, I don't know, in the 90s and in the 80s, they all ate really well. They probably had a cheat meal or a cheat day, but they still stuck to good foods. It wasn't kind of terrible, rubbish foods. So I think that's the biggest thing that I think potentially newer bodybuilders need to get their head around is you need to fuel your body well, and you need to fuel it well all year. It's not a kind of an on season and then off season you can do what you want, because if you actually want to make real progress, you are going to have to be on majority of the time. And unfortunately you can't also compare yourself to people who are 1% genetic elite people that are very much at the top when it comes to bodybuilding, that have probably got there quite swiftly and quite quickly. Like, they are 1% genetic elite people. You can't compare yourself, even your eating habits, to them, because you're not them. You are probably going to have to be super dialed in and make sure that you really focus hard on all the little 1% to be able to make sure that you make the progress that you need to. I'm definitely very much like that. I need to look after those 1% things, otherwise I don't make the progress that I'm supposed to. It's like, yes, I make good progress year upon year, but I put a lot of effort in. Like, I don't have an off switch. I think that the most time that I've ever had off in the last couple of years is probably, it's not even time off, because even my Christmas dinner, like I didn't eat all the foods that everybody else was eating. I ate my meal and enjoyed time with my family, but I wasn't doing a lot of drinking, etc, etc. I think that it's good to have balance, it's good to have downtime, but it doesn't always have to be around foods. Me and Kuba love to go bowling, to the cinema, I like to go walking with my dogs, I love to go and see my family, I like to see my friends, but it's not always based around food. And I think if you want to get and catapult yourself up and you are really adamant about making that progress, you do have to dial in. And if people are telling you that you can be a bit sloppy here and a bit sloppy there, like, that is going to hold you back. And maybe it might not hold you back to begin with, but them little 1% things is what's going to probably make someone beat you. So you need to make sure that you are dialed in. I think that we're in a bit of a strange era at the moment where everybody wants everything quickly, everybody wants something the easiest way possible, everybody thinks that there's a cheat route and a shortcut and whatnot, but there's not. You need to make sure that you're doing everything right. and making sure that you optimise your progress as much as possible if you actually do want to be a successful bodybuilder. So, meal 2, which is at 9:30 on the dot. Try to make sure that the meal timings remain good, because that's also another way to keep appetite in a really good spot in an off season. If you're kind of having not so much meals at different times, because people obviously have shift work, they sometimes don't have the same days, but at least having a good kind of 2 hours between every single meal, just to make sure that obviously you're not eating on top of eating, is going to help keep your appetite in a much better spot. So meal 2 is 450 grams of potatoes, 125 grams of steak, some vegetables, and 100 grams of pineapple. If you're like me, when you are in off season, you get a little bit kind of fed up of the same textures and tastes every single meal. You can obviously mix up your carbohydrates. For me, I was getting a little bit bored of rice because I was having it pretty much every single meal apart from breakfast on a training day, so I added in some potatoes instead, just for a little bit of variety. Obviously you can match the macros for potatoes to rice, they're still good, great whole foods, so I'm having some potatoes at the moment instead of rice, just so that it can help appetite a little bit, because prior to my deload that we've just taken, my appetite was definitely a little bit lower, probably from fatigue running a little bit high, but also it's important just to listen to that body as well. So giving it a little break from rice, having some potatoes instead, so hopefully this just goes down a little bit better than trying to come back up into my mouth like I did do last training day. So, it's a bit busy because the parents are here. We've been looking after my mum and dad's little dogs, so they've come to pick her up after watching Peter Kay last night. So, this is my pre-workout meal. In here we've got 125 grams of rice, 125 grams of chicken, a whole lot of Caesar barking on the side, it's a little bit of veg, and 100 grams of pineapple. So obviously you're going to eat that. This is possibly my least favourite meal, not lie, because a whole lot of rice this big's just not the most appetising to me. To be fair, I think because I don't enjoy it as much, it probably doesn't digest as well. Probably shouldn't have it as my pre-workout meal, should I? But it's a base necessity in bodybuilding. It gets down anyway, so I'm going to eat it, enjoy it, smile through my teeth, and get ready for the gym because it'll be a good day. So post-workout meal in, feeling good, it's digested well. Until it starts not digesting well, I will keep it in, but it definitely isn't my favourite meal, but needs must sometimes because it's a good whole food. I'm going to the gym now, I'm going to train legs. You're not going to see it in this video, sorry, you'll have to wait until the next one, but I'm sure it'll be good. Training with my client Lucy, training hamstrings and glutes because mine are terrible, so hopefully she can teach me how to grow some because hers are fantastic. So in here is my intra workout. It's obviously not by Evian, it is trained by JP. So in here I've got lots of water plus 200 millilitres of coconut water and 50 grams of Sustain. It actually sits the nicest for me in terms of digestion, and that's obviously what we want intra workout. In a moment, halfway through my session, I will get my EAAs and I'll explain as to why I put them halfway through my session. halfway through my session, I have my EAAs, which is obviously my protein serving. The reason we do that is literally so that every 2.5 hours we get a spike of protein, which is literally what MPS is, protein spike. Anyway, so we're gonna have 25 grams of the peached iced tea MPS from Trained by JP. We have it halfway through the session to make sure that our protein is kind of topped up every 2.5 hours throughout the day. Also, having it intra during my session rather than all the way through actually does keep my digestion a little bit better. So if someone who struggles with appetite, like I don't struggle with my appetite, but it's definitely not like I could eat forever in a day, lots and lots and lots. So if you're a bit like me, you do get full towards the back end of off season, try splitting it out, see what happens. First workout meal. Just finished up legs, hamstring session. It was a really good session, which is obviously what we want. Definitely feel ready to get back to full volume from Monday, which will be really great, which will start off with push, obviously then eases in, ready for legs kind of 5 days later, which will be the Cybex hack session. So hoping to progress from the 3 plates that we have on there at the moment. Post-workout is 125 grams of cream of rice. This is actually the if you come to UltraFlex Rotherham, you can actually get an array of different Trained by JP products. Unfortunately, you can't use Meg 10 at UltraFlex Rotherham, but you can online, so if you want to, then do. We're using the cookies and cream in here, which is 125 grams with, don't think that we've got the whey here. Oh, we do. It's actually the strawberry, white chocolate and raspberry, sorry. White chocolate and raspberry whey, which is lovely. It's actually really nice. It tastes like McDonald's strawberry milkshake. And if anybody's an OG McDonald's strawberry milkshaker, you'll know how good that is, especially if you dip your chips in it. Anyway, that's gonna go on there, and that's what we're gonna have as post-workout. I'll be back for the next little shindig with the foods, and that will be for sushi. Okay, so I was a very naughty girl and I forgot to get a video of my sushi. So you're going to have some pictures here, wherever Gaz puts them on the screen. And I'm just about to eat my last meal, which is 100 grams of oats, 40 grams of whey, and 100 grams of berries. I don't take any meals out. Well, I replace one meal for one meal when it comes to my off plan, because I know that off plan is pretty much the same calories as my other, because I pretty much have it every time I have as an off plan, which is teriyaki chicken rice from Raku in Sheffield. So yeah, pretty much exactly the same swap for my normal meal, and tomorrow I'll probably wake up at a similar body weight, so very exciting. Tomorrow I've actually got a posing seminar with Kerry, one of my clients, another IFBBPRO who's a fig competitor, a bikini competitor, so it'll be lovely to be able to catch up with her, see all the people that are around, and yeah, have a really good day. I'll be filming that, so make sure you watch out for it on YouTube as well. Gonna eat my last meal, and hope you all have a great evening, day, whatever time it is that you're actually watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hope you've enjoyed the day in the life of a female off-season bodybuilder.